Hey, what's up, everyone? How you doing? Man, what a lot of news! What a lot of news that have been coming out, and also the news. I want to. There's a couple really big, important things that are coming out or came out in the most recent TWAP, and I just want to talk about it as you look at that fantastic stain on my floor. Right. That's dog pee.
For generations, the Dreaming City.
But we're going to talk about this right now. The dog pee? No, the Last Wish raid.
She is known Riven.
The Last Wish raid that we have right now is complete. There is not going to be an addition to the raid. There's not going to be a prestige version of this raid. It is simply this. It is simply the Last Wish, which is kind of people have opinions, so I'm going to share mine. We're going to talk about it. I'm actually really excited about the fact that the Last Wish raid is like a complete experience, right? And not for nothing, I want to put on my wish ender because Last wish ender, haha, lamau. Because this raid, like this entire experience that we have, is something, you know, the first time I played through it and subsequent playthroughs, you still looking at that P? The subsequent playthroughs that I've had, the big takeaway for me has been like, wow, this feels like a really complete experience. I don't know how they could make this a prestige raid layer. Or a prestige raid, because it's great. It's incredibly difficult. Like you know, you look at the mechanics on Riven, and you're like, what's going to happen in Riven? Are we going to have is it going to grow more eyeballs? Are we going to have to shoot all 10? Like, is it going to be this arbitrary difficulty stuff that we've done before, or? And this is what you like that title. This is kind of what I like about it so far is we have this list of triumphs. So the raid becomes a pathway to, you know, getting this Riven's Bane title, which allows Bungie to do more than nothing is forced, right? So you want to play through the whole thing as you know, Lightning Boys, then do it. It's part of what you need to do here. Doing it without anyone dying, which is probably the best, you know, the best description of mastery for the raid, which is right here. Like it absolutely makes sense, right? This Petra's run where someone dies, you go to orbit, like that's complete mastery of the raid. You play through without anyone dying. You know, strength of memory, like there's all these different challenges that you have. I like that everything in here is sort of optional. We have Fight Forever challenge. So all those things together to get the title sort of gives the raid a sense of mastery. It's a pathway to mastering the raid, which in my mind is really key, and that's what the Prestige raid has kind of always been about. You know, the experience with locked loadouts and all that other stuff is neat, but ultimately I think the community sort of agreed that it felt a little unnecessary, and in Destiny 2 it felt kind of forced with the locked loadouts. Now, as fun as it was to try and do things with locked loadouts, having the more player controlled challenges for the triumphs actually is, I mean, for me, it's something that I enjoy a lot more. So my thoughts on there being no prestige raid. I like it, especially if it means we get more focused end game content. Like, you looking at that P? Like the dungeon, like Shattered Throne. If the future of endgame content in Destiny is superb raid experiences, which, you know, Last Wish has set a really high standard. In my opinion, it's obviously the best raid they've made, and it kind of redefined expectations in my mind. So it's got me very excited about what these raid layers could be like. Is the raid layer that we're going to experience going to be as in-depth, engaging, and exciting as, let's say, Vault of Glass was, because everything's moving forward now. And this raid in scope is just absolutely gigantic. So I have a lot of questions about what raid layers can be, and that's awesome. And then we have the dungeon, which is an incredibly difficult experience. It's even designed to be taken on solo, which is fucking awesome. The fact that there's an achievement triumph to go in solo and get it done. The fact that you can get stuff by going in solo, get actual end game gear, unique rewards, or rewards that feel unique. Powerful rewards for completing the challenge. And of course you have all these hidden secrets like Last Wish, and this wishing wall, which is now a fishing wall. Oh my god. Makes me really excited about the future of Destiny. If they want to devote resources, man hours, and time to changing things in the Destiny experience to be more focused on this solo play, this dungeons type of experience, I am all for it. Because we all like, raiding is fantastic, and this raid was excellent. But what I really want to see is, personally, to everyone who plays Destiny, I feel like things like dungeons are more beneficial to the entire player base. You still have really awesome capstone moments like this that, yes, the entire player base may not get to experience it, but the fact that we have this raid layer that comes around once every 3 weeks, and it's challenging, but it gives you like, okay, well, it came around at the end of the first 3 weeks, you weren't ready. Well, now you have a plan. You know it's going to be back, and it gives you like this time pressure to get ready again. It makes the world feel like alive, and I like that. Going forward, I would love to see raid layers and raids be experiences like this. Big, massive, sweeping experiences that are deeply tied into the story, that tell you everything that you have going on, inside of the raid, inside of what's been happening. We worked our way up in the story to fight Riven. So whatever's coming with, Joker's Wild, Black Armory, and Penumbra, those experiences are also, in my heart, hopefully going to be experiences that are driving us as Guardians through the story and capstones to that. More dungeons and more PvE experiences, more experiences like the Blind Well or Escalation Protocol are fantastic. Obviously, I have been, and I'm always going to be, an advocate of in-game matchmaking for all that stuff. But if we can't get in-game matchmaking, if that's just never going to happen, the idea of having more experiences like the dungeon that are just mind-blowing as fuck is all right with me. From a content creation standpoint, it's the first end game activity in Destiny I've ever done since, let's say, Proto's End, where I felt like this is challenging and enjoyable, and I could do it with anyone. And I think that I realize my perspective skewed, and you're like, you make content for a living, of course that's what you want. But hear me out. When your instinct after finishing an activity is, wow, it would be fun to experience that again, I want to bring a friend, that's awesome. Finishing Kingsfall, finishing Wrath of the Machine, Spire of Stars, Leviathan, Eater of Worlds, and Last Wish, the first thing I wanted to do after I finished it was experience it with my raid team again, or fuck everyone else, I'm not interested. Or other experienced raiders. And I get that. And that's a frustration point for people who are in LFG. Like, well, I want to raid too, or I want to do this endgame stuff too. But the dungeon is such a fantastic experience in of itself, and it is much more casual, and it has checkpoints. And even though it's still punishing, and when I say casual, I mean like less mechanically heavy, but it's still very engaging. And I say that with, the ogre fight that's in the middle of the raid, and that's an incredibly mechanically heavy encounter. No matter what way you cut it, it's even a little bit, you could argue that it's as equivalently challenging as, let's say fighting, I started the encounter, fighting some of the bosses, like let's say the Templar in Vault of Glass. So having these kind of experiences for everybody to have together, and to want to take their friends in and say, like, you know, be able to have that conversation at the table with your buds, or you're fucking out at the bar and you're like, yo, we got to do this dungeon thing this week, it's fucking kick ass. And they're like, oh, well, is it like a raid because like I don't have all night? Like, no, it's really cool. Like, what's your power level? They'll say it and you're like, oh, well, we can definitely get it done inside of an hour now that everybody knows what's going on. And that's the kind of, I guess, camaraderie and experience I feel like Destiny's been missing. So in my mind, you know, the more raid-esque experiences, you know, if we get more dungeons attached to everything that we're doing as players, I think that it's a big win for everyone. Like, I think that there isn't a scenario where it's like, oh, well, this screws certain people. Because I feel like because of the accessibility of the dungeons, the fact that you can do it solo, and honestly, you know, before I started streaming, I was absolutely someone who liked to play everything by myself, including MMOs, which was really difficult because I liked Final Fantasy 11, which is not solo friendly. But it still took me forever to join a link shell, you know, on Final Fantasy 11, because I was just like, no, I want to play solo, and I'll fucking find pickup groups and all this other shit. So those are my thoughts on the Prestige raid, or lack thereof of the Prestige raid. I really hope that this means we're going to be getting many more superb encounters. You know, the fact that we're getting story-based content inside of Festival of the Lost, which is just bonkers to me. It's the, you know, the kind of something that I have really been wanting, you know, for those kind of expansions. The fact that we get to solve a murder mystery, and hopefully there's just a whole lot more to it, makes me incredibly excited. So that's what I got for you about that. Thank you for watching. I know we missed a couple days of uploading because it's kind of like recovery time for me and all the streaming, and my wife was out of town, and now she's back. We wanted to go on date night and all that stuff. So thank you for being patient. You still looking at the P? You looking at that? You looking at that P? Thank you for being patient for the uploads while they're coming along. I hope you've been liking the content on YouTube. Make sure you you know, tell your friends about it if you want, or, you know, tell your friends that I suck. It's fine. I'm just happy that you're here and you're spending any amount of your day with me. And I will talk to y'all next time. Peace.